The next step in my process planning is to calculate the RPM. Now I prefer the approximate formula to the exact. So I've gone to the charts and I've looked up the cutting speed for this type of tool in this material, and I'm going to use 100. So the RPM formula again is 4 times this cutting speed, which in this case is 100. Then I'm going to divide by the tool diameter of 5/8 to give me an RPM of 640. Next, I want to calculate a reasonable roughing rate that won't pull the tool out of the holder or the part out, and I don't want it to spin either. I have to consider how I'm going to hold this part for machining. So remember, the feed rate to get inches per minute is the RPM, which is 640, times the number of flutes, times my chip load or feed per tooth. So let's start with a feed per tooth of 10 thou, 0.01. That would give me a feed rate of 25.6. If I'm concerned that's too high, I could try dividing that by 2, and then I'd have a feed rate of 12.8 inches per minute with a feed per tooth of 5 thou. I'm going to do this one more time. So I have my 640 RPM times my 4-flute cutter times, and this time I'm going to see what a chip load of 7.5 thou or feed per tooth would give me, and that gives me 19.2. So I'm going to round that up to 20 inches a minute for starting. Minimize my calculator here. And the next thing I want to do is I want to describe the process. So I'm describing the process, and I'm going to say this tool will rough the 2.5 inch radius. So we can see that here. So it's going to rough this profile, the 1 inch diameter boss, and the 3/4 inch boss. I also want to tell it to leave 60 thou on all faces and 30 thou on all ODs, outside diameters, for the finished tool. So why did I come up with 60 thou? Well, right here I have a 60 thou radius, and here I have a 30 thou radius. This cutter has a square corner. It's not going to leave this radius here. So I want to make sure there's enough material when I get a bullnose end mill to finish these that I can leave the proper radius to be cut. In the next video, we'll look at how we would choose the finish tool, and then we'll continue in this video series looking at how to choose each tool for this process planning.